Hello everyone and welcome to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. We have made it to a brand new year, the year of 1983, and we get to start this year off strong with The Princess and the Robot from Embra Film, Brazil. I am Whitney.
That was quite the introduction you just did there.
Uh-huh.
I'm Tennille. I also am here on this show.
Indeed. And because it's the beginning of the year, there will be an extra video that's released at the same time as this one where you can go and suggest shows, short specials, and other things from 1983 that you think we should check out. And we'll look at all of those and release a video at the end of this 1983 year covering all of that.
Yes.
But either way, let's go over this film.
The Princess and the Robot. I thought this was pretty cute.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, I don't know how well it holds up as a full-length movie. It was something that I thought it started off pretty strong, but then as it continued, the cracks started showing, you know? And by the time we got to the end, I was like, all right, I'm more than ready for this to be done.
Yeah. So, there's definitely some good elements to this, but it could have been better.
It's overall like a good start to the year, you know?
And I want to say thank you to Michael Ray for finding this film for us.
Thank you, Michael Ray.
Thank you so much. So, this movie also has an established cast of characters.
Absolutely.
That do nothing.
That's one of the big problems of this movie, is that this is actually a movie
in a
based
franchise
on the comic characters Monica and Friends, or Monica's Gang.
Mm-hmm.
But they honestly play a secondary role in the main story, because the main story is about completely original characters. And I think the stuff with the original characters works just fine. It's the better part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, unfortunately, the core cast, which is playing a secondary role, kind of drags the film down quite a bit.
Because they don't do much.
Yeah.
And when they are on screen, you're like, okay, but can we get back to, the movie?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So how about we do a plot synopsis so people know what we're talking about. On a carrot-shaped planet out in the middle of nowhere, there's a rabbit kingdom.
Middle of space. Nowhere of space.
What did I say?
Well,
middle of nowhere?
Just middle of nowhere.
Okay. Yeah. Carrot-shaped planet in the middle of space.
Uh-huh.
There is a bunny kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And they have robot rabbit guards. And one of these guards is hit by some sort of magic space light that gives him sentience and a conscience.
Yeah.
And this is our main character, the robot.
He's a really cute character design.
Oh, yeah, I love this design. It's very good.
And the animation that they do for him is also really cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good combination of a nice, simple character design and good character animation to go along with it.
Absolutely. Anyways, he falls in love with the rabbit princess. And wouldn't you know it, there happens to be a tournament going on where the winner will get the princess's hand in marriage.
Of course.
Of course. So,
very, very simple plot.
The robot decides to enter as a secret black knight. Very classic, this.
Uh-huh.
But there is also evil Count Bunny, who is a tiny little rabbit who is evil.
And he cheats during
he
the competition,
cheats so much.
So you know he's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm. But he loses.
Yes.
Robot wins the tournament. And he is going to get the princess's hand in marriage, but Count Bunny's like, no. This guy's a robot? He doesn't have a heart. He shouldn't be allowed to marry the princess.
Yeah.
And so the king's like, okay, fine. He has 3 days to get a heart. Otherwise, you win, Mr. Count Bunny.
Uh-huh.
The Count then captures the robot, turns him into a present, and yeets him off to planet Earth so that he cannot complete his task.
Yes.
And this is where he is found by Monica's gang.
Yes.
And Monica's gang go to one of their friends who happens to have a spaceship, and they take him to another planet. And they eventually go to the planet where the special space light came from in the first place, which they go to the source of the space light, and it gives the robot not just a consciousness and a heart. It makes him into a full-blown normal rabbit guy. And I'm like, no.
Go back. You were cuter as the robot.
Yeah, the robot was so cute, and this is just like a generic rabbit guy now.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, okay, fine. Anyways, they go back to the Rabbit Kingdom just in time. He does a sword fight with Count Bunny, and he wins, and he gets the girl, and it's happily ever after. Note that I mostly skipped over the last 45 minutes of the movie because most of the movie doesn't have anything to do with that plot. Most of it is Count Bunny doing hijinks, often at the expense of the Rabbit Princess. Mm-hmm. She is tortured and belittled, and she is treated very poorly in this movie. She is just an object to be won. Her only association is in her love interest or not interest in various other characters.
You mean in the yeah.
Yeah, it's like what
main character.
Like her only relationship in this movie is how she feels about other men in her life, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's like the setup for this movie is cute enough. It's very simple, you've seen it a million times, but the character design's cute, the animation's cute. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'm here for it. Could be worse. And then, like, as it went on, it's just like, all right, we're meandering a lot, and turns out it's getting to that worse part of the could be.
Uh-huh.
We're just seeing the female character get not physically beat on, but, like, bullied down. And then the Monica and Friends segments take a long time because it's a fairly large cast of characters, and so like all of them have to do a little thing, and it just takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like
there's like 4 or 5 humans, and then like a little Cupid angel, and then there's extra characters every now and again.
Mm-hmm. And I really this is me just kind of complaining because the movie wasn't what I wanted it to be, so this isn't really a fault of the film, but I do kind of wish that it had gone more of a Wizard of Oz kind of approach with the whole heart thing of like, Robot Bunny, you've had a heart all along. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be real to have a heart or whatever.
But no, he had to...
But no, he has to actually transform into a real rabbit. Again, that's just like a me nitpick thing, not an actual flaw of the story.
So a lot of the joy that is to be gained out of this film, I would say, is actually the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very fun, it's very cartoony. It honestly very much so feels like Chuck Jones Looney Tunes style animation.
Yeah, especially the original stuff in this movie.
Yeah, the original characters. Monica's gang feel like they're too set in their character models. They are not allowed to have as much fun in the cartoony sense.
Right.
But the robot, the rabbits, the villain worm sidekick henchman thing, anything that is not Monica's gang has a lot of fun with the animation.
They feel very inspired by Looney Tunes, and, like you pointed out, very specifically inspired by Chuck Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool. I mean, obviously Chuck Jones did not work on this. But, like, you can tell that inspiration is here. But I did want to go back and talk about Monica's gang in this film a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, it really just kind of feels like there's 2 art styles going on here. They conflict and they don't really blend together. The Monica's gang characters are all done in the style that they are in the comics, and that just does not really blend that well, which is really too bad because I think the stronger stuff is the original stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
And it'd be better without Monica's gang attached to it. That being said, let's get into some of the history production behind this. We did have some conflicting info whether this is a 1983 or a 1984 film.
Yeah, so we may have watched this 1 year early. Oh well, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I really could not find a solid source confirming
One or the
which
other.
year this was.
It also came out in January, so whether it came out this year or next year, it'll be very close either way. So I don't even feel super bad about getting it in the wrong year.
No. So I gotta ask, Whitney, are you familiar with these characters, Monica, at all?
Monica's gang?
Uh-huh.
Only from looking up and trying to find films for Animation Pilgrimage, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
This is definitely a character I definitely feel like I've seen in passing
Okay.
here and there before, but like I could never name who they were or anything like that.
Okay. I mean, they are of Brazilian creation, and unfortunately here in America we don't get a lot of Brazilian media. So
No.
I'm not surprised that I
was
don't know it a lot.
Yeah, it was imported to America like fairly early on, but obviously gang, I think, probably has a different connotation here. So it's not called Monica's Gang. Here in America, it's called Monica and Friends. Which,
Yeah, I guess
cultural
I see that.
differences
Yeah.
makes sense. But the original comic was started in 1959. It's quite a big franchise.
Okay.
I would like say it's kind of like Brazil's Peanuts.
You know, that wouldn't surprise me, just with these character designs and like how they interact with each other. Just a group of kids hanging out in the doing things
Doing
very
around
much-
town.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. The comic was created by Mauricio de Sousa. Apologies if I'm not saying that name correctly.
Maybe it's Mauricio?
Might be Mauricio. But yeah, like it's a pretty big franchise for Brazil. It has a theme park, which is still, I think, still active to this day. There's parts of the theme park that are now defunct.
Okay.
But it was in like one shopping center, and then earlier in the aughts, it got removed. And now I think it's been reopened in another shopping center.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's moved locations, but I think it's still
There's
around.
still semblance of it somewhere.
Yeah. But there's been like video games. I saw like a handful of video games have been made.
Oh, okay.
Obviously toys and books and stuff like that. And we will actually see another movie from this franchise in 2007. If you do
okay.
happen to see any other Monica and Friends before 2007, we're not watching them because they're compilations.
Ah, okay.
Compilations
so maybe,
of a TV show.
you know, so that might be some of the other ones I saw, and when doing my research, I would have found that they were compilations and immediately deleted them from my brain. Because I have to look through so many films every year to make our list.
And unfortunately, when it comes to the film itself, I was not able to find a whole lot of information about it. But, you know, when you get films like this, where what should be the main cast of characters feels like background characters, and then you do get a main plot that feels so, like, different and its own thing, it always makes me wonder, like, what happened creatively to make this disconnect happen?
It almost feels like maybe someone had a whole movie that they wanted to make, but then they had to put Monica's Gang in there just to get the money and recognition for people to come watch the movie.
Right.
And get the money to make the movie in the first place.
And I can't really confirm any of that. Because like I said, there was no information. I think the original artist of the comic is listed as like a writer or consultant or something like that. So like he was still involved.
Okay.
But this was directed by Itsuo Nakashima, who did not have any information on him whatsoever. But I was like, hey, that's a Japanese name, obviously.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, so hold on, wait, is this actually a situation where it was like exported over to Japan and then brought back, and like some animation was done there and here, like a Toei and Rankin Bass working together kind of thing.
Okay.
No. Actually, looking up Itsuo, I found that his father is Ippei Nakashima, who is a Japanese Brazilian animator who directed Piconze, one of the only films we haven't been able to watch for 1973.
Oh, okay.
So it's a movie that, as of this point in Animation Pilgrimage, we haven't been able to watch.
Well, that's fun.
But it's Brazilian's first color animated film.
Okay. Well, I hope we can get it at some point.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we have in a fairly like historic animator, his son directing this film for a popular Japanese, or not,
Brazilian.
a popular Brazilian franchise. And connections. I
love that.
What a small world it is.
It truly is. So, from what I'm kept picking up, Ippei,
was born in Japan,
Okay.
moved to Brazil.
okay, moved to Brazil, and then there had his own son?
Yes.
Itsuo,
Who then
directed this
this film.
Okay. Well,
And
that's
then
awesome.
also seems to work on some other Monica's Gang TV
Stuff.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. Good for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So, overall, this movie has some good points. It has some slightly disappointing points, for sure. Mm-hmm. But if you can watch it, sure. I'd say it's still worth a watch.
It's cute enough. It does outstay its welcome. I'd say the first, 20 minutes are probably the best part of it.
Yeah.
And you get a nice sense of that, Looney Tunes character animation, which is really charming.
Mm-hmm. But either way, join us back here next time as we move on to our second film for 1983. We will be watching The Dragon That Wasn't. Or was he? From the Netherlands.
I love that title.
It's a great title.
Uh-huh. See you then.